Hi everybody, this is the first walk I've been able to get out on since lockdown. We've had our first jab and we're going to have a second jab, and I hope that the second jab doesn't give me as many side effects as the first one. The other thing is, you'll probably be able to see that I'm desperate for a haircut I should say, and I can't have one for another fortnight. Everything's booked up solid. Some people are working on Sundays, would you believe? Barbers, never been known before. So let's have a look at the site. The walk I'm on is the Rabbiting site, and the reason I've picked this site today is that I've not been out walking for a long time, and the idea is to break yourself in steady when you've not been exercising at all. So my exercise at my age is walking, and in front of me there's a huge hill to climb, and I don't know if I'll be able to make it, so I might go the other way. So bear with me if it's not as interesting as usual. Bye for now. Well, as you can see, we're at the Rabbiting site, and it's always a good idea to have a look at the map before you set off. Get a general idea where you want to go, because you can go on several walks on this site, and I'll touch some of those later. And also check when the car park gates are locked. You don't want to be locked in. You don't want your car leaving there when you're at the other side of the slag heap and you're not quite sure of the time. But here you can see that all the site's been taken care of. It's nice and neat and tidy. So you respect that, please, when you go there. Take your litter on with you if you can. And there you can see there's a pond dipping thing for children to go to, and it's been used so much that the side of the pond itself and the gate area, to get to the gate area, which is now broken actually after lockdown, is very steep. The soil's become hard packed, and there you can see that off it goes up the stack itself. There's lots of fleet being on there making it hard packed, but when it's wet it becomes sludgy and slippy too. So you can see the water's found its lowest point, which is always the case, and I'll mention that later in the video, and even on a dry day strictly. But here's going towards where you would go back to the car park. You see it's very, very steep. So you can imagine what it would be like if it was wet underfoot. It's very slippery. I think we'll have to do something about that soon. And this leads on to the where the water comes from. Yeah. So this footpath may have been created by people, or it might have been there originally. Originally they had narrow footpaths, and then they decided, because of popularity, that they would widen them to this width. And of course you can get vehicles up now for people who are unable to walk, but you have to get special permission to go. Very steep, as you can see, and but dry underfoot. Usually I wear boots, and you can see I've only just got shoes on today, and I'm wondering how I'm going to make it up this hill, because I'm so unfit. It's incredible. Well, I'm almost at the top. I'm out of breath, and the muscles behind my legs, calf muscles, are aching because That's the first real exercise they've had in such a long time. So I'm going to take my time and just have a rest here and have a look back as to where I've come from. Now on a normal day's walk that would be no problem to me whatsoever, but because I'm so unfit due to lockdown and being stuck in the house, I'm out of breath. There's a bit more of a climb here and already my legs are like jelly. So it's not a good idea to push on too far today. There's a steep hill coming up to go down, and to be honest with you, I don't know if I can get back up, so we'll see. Most of the trees you can see have been put in by hand, many of them by volunteers, and wherever there's trees and water on a site, any site, you'll be able to see a difference through the seasons. Every time you come up, go to a site like this, but you can see that all that mountain of earth in front of us all came out of the ground. It's incredible that men did that. Originally, people with picks and shovels took the earth out of the ground with the coal, and then as the years passed it became mechanised. But with it comes subsidence, and the lake in front of me is part of that. Normal circumstances I would be able to walk all around this site and have no problem, have a short rest and then probably go and do some gardening. But I'm sat on a rock at the moment because I don't fancy going down that hill and trying to get back up again. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to have a quick look through the binoculars, and then I'll be able to tell you all what's on this particular lake. I should point out that this lake goes up and down with depending on whether it rains or not, and you can see that round the edges is drying out a bit. Normally, no, not normally, sometimes the water is as high as the tree that's in line with the litter bin, and you can see how low it's gone. Now around the edges there is some disturbance, so I'm assuming that deer have been for a drink. There is deer on site, roe deer. Probably have to come early to see them though. Now what roe deer like to do, they like to be hidden in the woodland and then come out when it's safe to do so and graze on the grasses, and then dive back into the tree line again if there's any danger. And in the far distance there's Falkirk Church. I don't know if I can pick this up actually, but anyway, I'll just have a look on the lake, see what's on there. You get a rough idea how deep the water is by, if there's dabbling ducks on, you'll only have, I don't know, a couple of feet of water at its best, and if there's diving ducks on, you'll probably have 6 feet of water, so that's a good indicator. But we've got Canada geese on, swans on, we've got little grebe calling it, that's normal at this time of year. We've got I'm just trying to hear the sounds for you to see what we've got. We've got moorhen and coot calling, and I was hoping to see a wadder down at the bottom, but nothing. I've just heard just as what I think is a white throat. I can't see it. I'm going to have to turn my camera off. I don't think he'll like it. He's a photographer. So it's nice to have had a summer visit to call him while I've been sat here. So I'll close it down now. Well, I've over 50 years service to nature by doing lots of projects, and I suppose I do know quite a bit of stuff, forgetting a lot of it now. I'm getting older, of course, but there's been all sorts of changes. I've got a mobile phone on me, which everybody's got, and when I first started out we had to try and find a place where we could phone from, such as a public phone booth, you know, the red ones. So that's changed. And the other thing that's changed is there's a young man just walking up there away from me, and he's got a lens on there which must be at least a foot, maybe to 18 inches long. And of course he can get really close up to things, and I can't with this particular camera because it's only got a short zoom on it. But he's got a lot of weight to carry there and I haven't, and at my age I prefer that. An interesting point, which I've raised before actually on this site, is those trees that's in the middle that are waterlogged and dying off. That gives you an indicator as to there wasn't always water on this site, and in fact it goes up and down. At one point I could walk across there, but they're not sure at the moment why water is holding as it is at the moment. Personally, I would have liked to have seen this water area developed and dug out and made much deeper, and I would have liked to have seen the water controlled a lot more. Where you can see the pylon there, if it picks it up, that's roughly, sorry, it's this pylon, roughly where the water comes in, and the water goes out at the very left hand side, because it always finds its lowest point to escape. Now there have been times when I've been up on this site where the water's come up over the top of that footpath, and you know, after days of rain. But at the other side where the bench is there, there is a culvert to release the water. But at the moment it's beautiful, and I think it's now 70F. I've got my floppy hat on because I'm burning already. There's a gull just come in, and I think it's just a black-headed gull. Yeah, it is. And before I had the camera running earlier, a buzzard flew over, and no doubt if I sat here long enough or at the water's edge there'd be a kingfisher. Now one of the things to think about when you're watching for kingfishers, if it's been raining and the water's really muggy, you'll probably not see any kingfishers. They'll move to areas where they can see in the water better. There's a swan nesting on there, and it's picked a good spot. Sometimes they pick spots that's accessible to humans. I don't think that one is. And sometimes they fail as well if there's any kind of disturbance. They will lay their eggs and no chicks. And they are very temperamental, really, as to where they hatch and nest. But woe betide anybody that tries to get near the nest. And I remember my father saying to me when I was a young child, do not go near a swan when it's the nesting season. They could easily break your arm with one swipe of their wing. I always remember that. My dad was a keen fisherman, I hated it. I couldn't do with sitting there all that time, hours and hours on end, watching the float bob up and down. I can understand though that what people get from that, because I have tried it, but I prefer to be walking about, seeing different things. And it's absolutely wonderful to be out again. I don't know if you're picking the sounds up of the Canada geese and different birds, but I've just been speaking to a lady now who's walking her dogs, and she's been on lockdown like we have. When I say we, that is my family and I. We've been nowhere at all. We've been very good. We've been nowhere really for a year. I missed my haircut earlier, desperate for a haircut, and also desperate to go to the dentist, but there's a long waiting list and can't get in there, and I have been frightened to go actually, thinking that I might catch the dreaded virus, you know, at my age group. Anyway, enough of that. I've come out to cheer myself up. Well, I've been sitting here about 5 minutes, and I've had a black cap, and I've also had memory going, John. Pheasant I've had, yeah. That went to ground, it called and went to ground as soon as I moved. But one of the things that I told the lady that I've just been talking to is that every time you come round here you can see something different. In fact, I think that's true to most sites that you go out on. It's just a matter of knowing what to look for, knowing what to what your ears are picking up, and you know, some stuff like that. But that's where I come in. Just looking at this picture out in front of us at the moment, there doesn't seem to be much happening. But until I describe it to you, it's bland until I start trying to describe it. And there's all sorts of birds nesting around there actually. And I've said that there's coot and moorhen on site, and as well as the other things. And I was hoping to see something passing over, but I've been unlucky. Wouldn't it be nice to see a swallow today? Wow, beautiful weather like this, hardly a cloud in the sky. Anyway, I think I'm going to have to head back now. Now I've rested my legs. I have mentioned, I can't even speak. I have mentioned this in other videos, but I thought it was worthwhile mentioning it again. In front of me I've got a right hand bend coming up, and if I walk to the left across like this, I get to see what's round the corner before it gets to see me. So if there was a roe deer on that corner, there wouldn't be at this time of day, but if there was, I would probably see it before it saw me. But it depends which way the wind's blowing. It could smell me before I saw it. So you walk across like that, and you can see that right around the bend. Now there's a couple of birds in. I'm going to have to check them. Looking around the corner like I did just then enabled me to see two dunnocks before they saw me, and it could have been a rare bird, couldn't it, or as I said before, a deer. Now if it had been a human being, you'd have heard the noise from feet or voices, and you might get a smell from a cigarette or a perfume smell. So you get a rough idea that way when you're coming towards the bend, as I said, if or not there's going to be human beings round the corner, or just natural habitat, you know, birds and as I said, deer. So that's a good pointer really. Well, I've been out walking this morning for about an hour and a half. I've had enough. Normally I can't get enough of it, but I ache all over, and I expect to ache tomorrow as well. But that's all part and parcel of getting back fit again, isn't it? So I think I'm going back to the car park now, and I think I'll end it there. Bye for now.